the merc with the mouth, the deadpool himself, the man that defies all laws of physics, the man that is practically immortal. Yeah, that's me. Okay, you don't need to do all this weird introduction every time I come by. How's the wife been? The wife's been good. What'd you do? I didn't do anything. That's beyond the point. You got anything for me? Naofumi Iwatani, the Deadpool of his world, a mercenary among legends. A mercenary that would hunt down anybody for the right price. Not only that, the man was skilled in various different martial arts, and also was a skilled assassin. He could wield katanas. Any sword you can think of, he did it. Master martial artist, and he was multi-intellectual. He could do anything. He was fluent in many languages and unpredictable. But he did have some weak mental states, and he had an amazing regeneration factor. This man, Naofumi Iwatani, would have his world flipped on its head when he would get the slip for his next killing, his next person to assassinate. He looks at the slip, but it begins to read that he is needed, that he, as the legendary mercenary hero, will be needed in another world. Glowing lights begin to shine, and Naofumi is gone in an instant. Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I am back. I'm back with What If Naofumi was the legendary mercenary hero, something a little different. I hope you all like the art I have. I bought it from somebody. I think it's a pretty nice art, and I actually really like this guy's style, and it came out really well. So, with that said, I'm not going to waste much more of your time. I feel like all of y'all kind of know where this is going to go. So let's get right into the what if. Let's get it. Naofumi, in a blinding light, is teleported to a brand new world. A world that is seemingly in a cage? Naofumi runs around and is confused. Wait, where am I? A big cage? Am I really in jail? Naofumi is then running around, but then he spots the other three heroes. He looks at them to see that they only have one weapon. Naofumi looks and sees that he has katanas, a gun. He has stuff all over him, even some grenades. Why do they only have one weapon? They're confused as well, but more confused about what is even going on. Naofumi asks the knights that are coming up, and the knights say that they have to go to the throne room to basically speak with the king. But they're kind of confused with Naofumi. Why does he have multiple weapons? And that will be brought up right when they get to the throne room. When they arrive, the king thinks that Naofumi is just some other adventurer and about to basically get rid of Naofumi. But the knights and everybody else confirm that Naofumi was transported here and that he must have other weapons himself. He pulls out all his weapons to see that there are a gemstone in every single one, meaning that, well, he is one of the legendary heroes, just something different. He's asked to pull up his HUD, and that's what he does. He pulls it up to see that he is the legendary mercenary hero. Now this is something interesting. He is a mercenary in his other world, of course, but he didn't think that this would be the thing. And why is this world like a video game? This is so odd. It's like that Deadpool video game that he has. He's been playing it. But even with that said, the king decides to keep him there, saying that if he's actually one of the heroes, he won't complain as long as he doesn't have to deal with that dastardly shield hero. After talking for a bit, they're all sent away to a hotel room in which Naofumi speaks with the other three heroes, speaking about basically what he's been through and what he's gone through in his entirety of his life, and that he's basically a mercenary. And they think this is awesome, but they also speak about how they are just like high school and college students, and not only that, they haven't done anything crazy like he has, but they do know the video games, video games similar to the one they're in. But Naofumi says that he's not really big on video games. He plays them every so often, but he loves some chimichangas and stuff like that, and killing people. At least that's what his writing says. I told you not to break the fourth wall anymore, Naofumi. Yeah, but you didn't tell me not to break the fourth wall anymore. That made no sense. Well, whatever. Let's just continue with the script. Naofumi just continues talking to the people, or the other 3 heroes, by the name of Itsuki, Ren, and Matsuyasu, in which they question why he's even talking to himself. But Naofumi explains that he's not talking to himself, he's actually talking to the big guy behind him. In which they're still confused, thinking that he's some psychopath. But that's beyond the point. After that night is over, they head to the kingdom once again. But this time, everybody wants to be on Naofumi's team. But Naofumi rejects them, saying that he works alone and he's more of the damaged goods type. You have to have a backstory, something cool about you, a special power. There you go, see? Mine argues, saying that she is the princess, and Naofumi says that's even worse. Why would he want a princess on his team? She's not damaged goods, she's spoiled goods. And Naofumi just smiles as he takes the money from the king and leaves, not even counting how much was even there, which was about 1,000 silver pieces. Naofumi heads out without even a party and just begins to try and figure out how this world even works. Begins trying to level up and all of the sorts, slicing and dicing various monsters, finding out that it's not too hard, at least right now. In terms of the ground floor, Naofumi is a lot higher than anybody else. He's more skilled, more equipped, and literally just better at being a fighter, better mercenary in total. Any duel that he has right now would be basically a cakewalk, as long as he continues to level up. After a day of training, Naofumi has gained some decent experience, learning various things. That for one, his weapons do develop. He has katanas and a pistol, but they could develop to other things, and that he can unlock other weapons that would basically just transform. That is something to definitely keep in mind. Same thing with his katanas. He loves his katanas, but they can change to various things as well, but he does feel that the other unlocks may not be as useful, but you really never know. In terms of abilities, he can get them back. It seems like right now he still have his fighting capabilities, obviously, but also he could get his regeneration factor back and various other things. On top of that, it seems like his cancer went poof. It's as if, well, this legendary weapon or legendary mercenary thing actually just vanished his cancer. He's not exactly sure how that would even work, but he guesses that it's just plot convenience. Naofumi then decides to head back to the motel to get some rest, but as he's going, 3 mercenaries arrive, but he gives them an ultimatum. Listen guys, you guys can choose to fight me, try and kill me, not the best idea by the way, or I can leave you in a pile of your own blood. It's really that simple. Naofumi then just waits for their answer, but they give none. Completely shocked, Naofumi slices through 2 of them and puts a bullet in the other, and in an instant they all drop to the ground. Naofumi shrugs and says that he told them so. He turns as someone else is there as well. He goes to throw his sword at him, but the man says to not do that, and that he's actually here to help, and that he wants to offer Naofumi something. He wants to offer Naofumi slaves. Oh my god, really? Oh heck yeah, I definitely want one of those. Naofumi is actually just waiting for a response, as the slave market owner is kind of shocked. He didn't really expect that. But nonetheless, he brings Naofumi in, showing him slaves, and Naofumi sees 2 people that actually basically catch his eye. 2 people that are both broken and battered. Frankly, that's kind of his thing. So he points at them, asking about the taller lady over there. He says that she is toward his age, but she does have some terminal illness, so he doesn't recommend that. And he points at the little girl with raccoon ears and a tail, and well, he says that it's this girl is extremely sick, sicker than a dog. But Naofumi just shakes his head and says that he'll take both of them, throwing money at him as they all leave. He asks if Naofumi wants the slave crest, but Naofumi says that he doesn't really care. So he takes them away and explains that he needs some help. He wants some help fighting these waves, but both of them are kind of confused. Rautalia is scared, and which the other girl, who has this white colored skin and this black coloring on her left side of her face, which Naofumi calls her Domino, and she just tries to correct him, but he refuses to listen. And he asks them basically if they'd fight with him, And they say that they have illnesses, like it's impossible, and Raphtalia is a little girl, and Naofumi says that he can actually cure those illnesses. And the next day, he somehow does. He figures out this concoction that basically cures both of their sicknesses instantly. He says that he just thought really hard about the cancer he had and the regeneration power that got rid of it. Well, sort of. Didn't really get rid of it. And he just thought really hard, combined it with a little wishy-washy, and boom, he got some medicine. And there it was, and luckily it worked. Luckily it didn't change them into grotesque monsters, but they ask him what he just said, and he says that he didn't say anything. But he then tells them that it's time to get them some weaponry, bringing them to Erhard. He speaks with Erhard about some things, and he says that he needs some weapons for the two girls, and he says that he has the perfect idea, giving Raphtalia a sword and also some armor, but Domino, on the other hand, she doesn't necessarily use a sword or anything like that. She uses long-range weapons. He offers a bow, but Naofumi asks if he has some sort of projectile gun. And he says, yeah, but it's kind of busted and it's not the best, but it is pretty expensive in terms of parts. And Naofumi says it's completely fine, spending a total of 600 out of his 1,000 at that place. He basically is kind of out of money now, but now Raphtalia has armor and a weapon, and Domino has a weapon as well. And then obviously he gets her some basic armor. As they leave though, something comes up on his HUD. It seems like they are currently obviously part of his party, but on top of that, the weaponry is showing, and it shows a whole upgrade system. And he explains this to them as well. It seems like being the mercenary hero gives his party members the ability to upgrade their weapons, or at least change them from a basic weapon to a stronger one. He explains this in a way that, well, Domino can get a pistol just like his, at least eventually, and Raphtalia can get a katana just like his eventually, in which they're both shocked, and which Raphtalia is still kind of scared, asking if she really has to fight and that she doesn't know if she'll be any good at it, and he promises that she will be, that he'll train her the best to his ability, and Domino says it will be just fine. So they begin to blitz through the forest, killing monsters and getting Raphtalia more eased into the act of fighting, but this does have a problem. They're kind of out of money, and they have to go to Loot Village, and they realize that they don't really have much money either. They ask about any places that they can get a quick buck, and they say this odd cave system, and he should be able to mine some ores there. So Naofumi and his party head off and begin to mine, but just as they are beginning to collect this ore, a two-headed dog monster at the bout of level of 27 arrives, terrifying Raphtalia, but Domino and Naofumi stand their ground staring at the monster. Domino helps Raphtalia up and tells her that it's time for her to face her fears. She tells her to grip her sword and that she will be right behind her and that she'll be helping from afar. Now, Naofumi nods as Raphtalia charges in and begins to fight with the monster. Yes, she's sort of outclassed here in terms of a level, but Domino shoots the dog, hurting it badly. Raphtalia is able to finish it off quickly, and both of them are able to win the fight with relative ease, upgrading both of their weapons, changing Domino's pistol into a more, you could say, modern-ish pistol, but less of a musket pistol to more of a simple revolver. And Raphtalia, on the other hand, then evolves to have a regular sword, not some small, dinky short sword. Naofumi kind of smiles at this and tells them that they did a good job, and they'll be taking these gems off to get it sold and get some extra money. He walks off and when they arrive, they begin to sell all these gems, getting a nice pretty penny for all of them. Now, frankly, they're going to have a pretty good month, especially with the extra money they have, so they won't have to worry about housing and stuff like that at all. So they begin their training, and they're leveling up over the next month or so. Their leveling up is extremely fruitful, getting upgrades to their weapons and various other things as well, learning their magical infinities, which, well, Naofumi doesn't really understand even how that all works, but he kind of just shrugs and doesn't really care. He eventually gets back his regeneration powers, seeing that it's a lot, well, weaker than any regeneration powers he had in his other world. But on top of this, it seems like his party members, Raphtalia and Domino, are actually getting more and more power at an exponential rate. When their weapons evolve with them, they're actually getting some insane power-ups and abilities. And he's pretty excited to see this, thinking that their training is extremely beneficial to them. A month then passes on, and Naofumi believes that it's time for them to start actual preparations for the next wave. He doesn't really understand all this wave nonsense, but he does know that they should be making some proper preparations just in case this is actually a difficult task. Naofumi may be pretty cocky, but he's not an idiot. So him, Raphtalia, and Domino head off to the Dragon Hourglass to see what time the next wave will then come, seeing that the time remaining for the next wave is about 24 hours. But they also meet with the other three heroes, in which Naofumi calls them the other three basically stooges, and basically talks to them like they were little kids. You know, you guys are looking really weak. Maybe you guys should try some better training. I can of course guide you in the right direction. How about it? What do you say? They kind of get mad and say that that he shouldn't be talking to them that way, and Mine walks over and actually slaps Naofumi. Naofumi slaps her back and tells her that, well, gender equality, and walks away with both Domino and Raphtalia while they're both laughing really, really hard. Motoyasu is mad, seeing that he just did that to Mine, and she's asked if he's going to really just let him do that, but as he goes to make a move, Motoyasu realizes, this guy was a mercenary. Should I really test my luck with trying to attack him from behind? Motoyasu then rolls his eyes and says that he's not even worth the time, but he knows that he's just fearful of what Naofumi can actually do. With all that said and done, Domino stops laughing and basically asks if that was really the best idea to slap the girl back, and Naofumi kind of just shrugs, saying that he had to do what he had to do, and it was self-defense in his opinion. You really don't know what self-defense means, huh? Well, sure. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Naofumi and the rest of it and his team then head back toward Earhart, and obviously to get some supplies and anything they can possibly get their hands on, any specialty armor they need, and any upgrades they need in terms of, well, specific armor pieces. But all that is kind of brought to a wrap pretty quickly, and they get all of their supplies and head back to Loot Village before the next wave would begin. And when that next wave began, let's just say their training and their leveling up was extremely beneficial. Being that his Raphtalia and Domino are at a level of 30 and he's at a level of 50, this wave is a wash. He slices and dices through every single monster as if it was nothing, teleporting around, slicing every single one of their heads off. He can only teleport to a certain extent. At level 50, he learned his teleportation back once again, and he begins to just slice and dice through a radius of about, you could say, 20 to 30 meters, and more or less just teleport back and forth. And he really never gets tired at this point, and they gain a decent amount of XP from just doing this as well. And he sees that the wave is finally finishing up, thinking that the other heroes finally got it done. He walks over to the site of where the boss monster was, and they ask where he was, and he says that he was actually fighting a bunch of monsters at the village over there, and that they kind of needed protection, and they would basically offer to pay him, so he decided to stay over there. And they're kind of confused. Why wouldn't he just fight with them and just beat the boss monster quicker? And he just shrugs, saying that the other people would have died if he wasn't there, and they don't really understand that logic, even though it's pretty flawless. He calls them basically idiots and that they're more or less have rock intelligence, and Naofumi just heads off as they're all invited to the kingdom once again for a state dinner. When they arrive for the state dinner though, Naofumi begins to try the food. He's calling a lot of it really bad. He's not really a big fan. He's more of that home-cooked mama meal type of guy. You know, it's pretty simple. Gotta love that mama's meatloaf. Oh, mama's macaroni. That's some good stuff right there. Naofumi begins to talk like this as Raphtalia and Domino kind of laugh and roll their eyes about the way he's talking. And they say that they can cook him food, well, like when they get out of here, and that they can get some ingredients from the shops nearby. He thanks them a lot for it because he really does love that home-cooked food. But just as they're talking about this, Motoyasu approaches him and slaps him in the face, telling him that he should not have slaves and that he should never have hit mine like that. He then brushes this off and more or less talks to him like a child. Listen, okay? Alright, listen to me, son. No, come here. Come here. Listen closely. Don't ever slap your dad again. That's a problem. You never slap your father like that. Secondly, I'm going to proceed to whoop you. Whoop you bad. And that girl over there, she got slapped because she slapped me. It's that simple. A bunch of people then say that he should never slap the princess, and Naofumi is shocked. The princess! Now see, that makes more sense. The manipulation is just oozing off of her. And the spoiled brat, I knew it. I knew she was spoiled. God. See, this is why I said I like broken adventurers, not spoiled ones. God, I knew it. It's so obvious. Now Fumi then just stands in front of Motoyasu and asks him what he truly wants to do. And Motoyasu says that he'll have a duel with him. A duel that not only will free his slaves, which Naofumi cuts him off, pointing out that they don't even have slave crests, but also that a duel for the apology for mine, in which Naofumi asks, what does he get? Motoyasu says nothing. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm a mercenary. Former mercenary for hire. Current mercenary for hire. You have to pay me something if I win. It's that simple. Actually, excuse me. You have to pay me something when I win. Motoyasu tells him not to be cocky, but Naofumi isn't even listening, saying that he'll take money for it, actually all the money that he gets from the king and any money that he has in his possession in general. And which Motoyasu agrees to, but says that Naofumi will have to give all the money he has to him as well if he loses. And Naofumi says that that's fine, in which Domino and Raphtalia are laughing for some reason, and the reason for this is because they don't have any money. So they head off and begin leaving to the duel arena. This duel arena is surrounded by people watching and waiting for something to occur. Naofumi stands and waits, about to basically fight this man, and right when Motoyasu charges in, he's not even using his swords and his gun. He's just using his hand-to-hand combat skills, easily outpacing Motoyasu, landing a blow to his stomach and then a blow to his face. Come on, Mr. Spear Hero, is it that really hard? Come on, you got it. Try again, come on. Here, come here, I'll show you. Give me the spear, give me the spear. Now Fumi tries to guide his spear toward him as he plunges it into the side of Naofumi. Naofumi shrugs and says, see, that's better. See, you did better. He pulls the spear out as Naofumi begins to regenerate. Yeah, unfortunately you're losing this fight. It's really sucks, I know, because I'm basically making you look like a useless hero, huh? He then lands a blow to his face and slams his head into the ground and continues to beat on Motoyasu, eventually leading to Mine trying to cheat, and he gets blasted by a gust of wind, getting sent toward a wall. He catches himself and points toward Mine and shoots his gun at her leg, immediately injuring her, and he says to not interfere ever again or else. He says that this is a duel and that Motoyasu wanted to fight, but you don't get to make judgments and try to attack him during said fight. Now Fumi is pretty serious, first time in a while he's actually this serious, and he points the gun back at Motoyasu and says that he could blow his brains out right now, but he puts the gun away and he says he chooses not to. He kicks Motoyasu in the face, knocking him out, and telling everybody that they might want to check on the little princess before she bleeds out from her leg wound. Naofumi then leaves with Raphtalia and Domino, and they're surprised to see how serious Naofumi was. They've really never seen him act in such a way, and he even apologizes, saying that he normally isn't like that, but it seems like the script writer wants him to be serious sometimes. I never said for you to be serious sometimes, Naofumi. You just break the fourth wall too much. I need you to not break the fourth wall like you just did, Naofumi. Ah, pish posh, serious, breaking the fourth wall. Isn't that like the same thing? You're asking me the same thing? Yeah, sure. I'm asking you the same thing. God, this guy's crazy. Well, Naofumi and his party then head off once again. actually going back to Loot Village, and they begin to just do simple sparring with each other to learn more and more about Naofumi's martial arts skills, and this also would help in the long run. At the end of the day, your levels aren't everything. You need other things as well. Learning martial arts would be a great benefit for them. Learning how to use a gun even better than you already did before. Learning how to use a katana even better than you did before is a massive plus. Especially with Raphtalia wielding a steel katana and also Domino wielding a deagle, it is better that they learn how to use these guns and weapons that Naofumi knows how to use perfectly. And this definitely is beneficial. After a couple days of doing this, Naofumi realizes that they kind of need to head out, that they don't really have a way of traveling very well, so maybe it would be the best choice to actually get a monster to do so. So they decide to do just that, getting a gotcha egg. This gotcha egg eventually turns into this small little Filolial after about only a day, and very soon after, the Filolial is fully grown. Naofumi then says that's a big chicken, and he begins riding around on it, learning how to move around on that said Filolial by the name of Philo. Eventually leading to Motoyasu, Mine, who has this brace on her leg now, and a ton of knights coming up and actually talking to Loot Village, speaking that this is now under the rule of Motoyasu. But what Mine doesn't know is that Naofumi is there. Same thing with Motoyasu, he has no clue. Naofumi comes out with his party and says that they should leave now. Motoyasu is kind of fearful of this, and Mine says that they will be thrown in prison. As she says this, he pulls out his gun and begins to lay out the rest of the knights. Yeah, and who's gonna put us in prison exactly? Well, not you. And definitely not your boyfriend over there, because I beat him without my blades. So, who exactly is going to throw me in prison? By the way, I can teleport. How are you gonna keep me there? It's not possible. Mine is frustrated seeing that he just wasted a ton of the knights, and he says that he'll waste her if they don't leave right now, forcing them to actually more or less just leave after one of the Queen's shadows arrives, more or less showing them a paper that says that they cannot be there and take what Loot Village has to offer in terms of making them get taxed, and unrightfully so as well. So Naofumi is confused seeing this weird shadow come out of nowhere and then just immediately disappear. Pretty impressed. I wonder if they can teleport. I can teleport. We can all teleport. Domino says that's not the case. They cannot all teleport, and Naofumi tells her not to burst his bubble. As they begin speaking about this, Philo grows one size again, making her a massive Filolial. Naofumi is shocked and says that's an even bigger chicken. And they all just head off after getting a brand new cart. As Philo begins to pull it, they head off to seek out new villages. But during one of their pit stops, they actually sleep for the night. When Naofumi wakes up, Raphtalia and Domino are completely shocked and terrified at the fact that there's a little girl on Naofumi's lap. He's asked what's even going on, looking at the little girl, and he backs up. I promise, I did not do anything. Nope. This is how good men go to prison. I'm gone, guys. I'm gone forever. They then shake their heads and are confused. They just want an explanation of what's even going on. Who is that? Philo then wakes up and calls him Master Naofumi as if he knows her. Philo then says that her name is Philo and what's going on. He then realizes that that giant Filolial just turned into a little girl with wings. This then leads them obviously to Erhard, asking anything about getting a dress for Philo or proper clothing. Then they get sent to a dressmaker, in which she says that they don't have the magical thread for it, so they get sent to the magic shop owner, in which she says that they can actually make magical clothes for Philo, but here's the thing, they're lacking the gemstone for the loom. Naofumi then complains, why does it feel like I'm getting ran over everywhere? Like, Erhard doesn't have it, the dressmaker, now the magic shop owner. Guys, seriously, can't we just throw a towel on her? Domino and Raphtalia say no, as they head off with the magic shop owner to get her that magical gemstone. During this traveling though, they actually come across some sort of wealthy trader, and he asks for a ride, in which Naofumi says that he'll have to pay him for it, and the trader says of course. As they begin to leave though, they are approached by a large group of bandits that attack his wagon, but they all are basically defeated in a matter of seconds. Naofumi wanting to kill them all and just throwing them off the cliff, but Raphtalia and Domino think that they should actually probably get some more out of them. And Naofumi says it's a great idea, calling Philo over, saying that she will bite every single last one of their heads off unless they basically only speak good about the mercenary hero himself and his party, but also if they don't, bring him all the stuff that is currently in their possession. Naofumi then watches as everybody slowly but surely gives him an offering basically as their savior, and he kind of laughs about this, saying that Raphtalia and Domino may be even darker than he is, in which they say that they're definitely not. He also shot a woman in the kneecap, and he says that she deserved it, and they just both shrug, and the wealthy trader is completely confused. What is wrong with these people? After all of this is said and done though, the trader then decides at the very end of their trip that he will pay him back via learning or teaching him new skills and introducing him to contacts. Naofumi pulls out a gun and points at his head. That's really it? I'm gonna need money. Cash. Money. More money. And then cash. Naofumi then starts laughing and spins his gun and puts it away. I'm just messing with you. Don't worry about it. But I will take some food. That sounds good. Maybe even a chimichanga. Do you guys know what chimichangas are? He then says that he doesn't know what a chimichanga is, but he will teach him some new skills. Naofumi learns all these new skills and gains some new contacts, and eventually gains a warrant to a mine at the quarry, in which him and his party and also the magic shop owner enters that quarry to find the magical gemstone. But before they actually find that, they do find an abandoned alchemist tomb, and the cursed seed that was once in it is no longer in it. Wow, now this is some convenient thing to get us to the next plot. And, well, I have a feeling I'll be doing more work, won't I, writer? Hey, I didn't write this part. Don't blame me. Whatever. Well, then Naofumi and his party then head in to that said cave. But during this, he begins to hear voices. So does everybody else. But they are just saying things that's the last thing they would want to hear and are trying to turn them or each other against themselves. But of course this doesn't work very well, leading them all the way to the News Den, a monster that begins to try and attack them as, well, they try to steal the gemstone that is within him and that he's covering. So during this fight, Naofumi kind of just dashes around, playing around with the monster, but he begins to shock the area around, in which Philo grabs him and pulls him out of the way, but they just continue fighting on, and Naofumi tells them that it's time to finish this up. They start blasting him with their guns, and Raphtalia and Philo go in for the final blow, finishing off the monster. They said that was actually kind of entertaining, and Naofumi agrees that he hasn't really fought a monster like that in a little bit, so it was actually interesting. They get the magical gemstones, and they head off back to the magic shop owner's shop. After basically making all of this thread, they get the dress made for Philo, and it seems like it works out perfectly. It transforms perfectly to her body, and then finally they can start going on real missions and getting real things done. Philo says that was a real thing, and, well, Naofumi says that it's a dress, so I guess it is technically real, but it's not really something that would be super beneficial to them. And they haven't really gained much that was beneficial, except for that trader thing, but even that was confusing. I could have just put a bullet in his head and taken all his stuff. But, I mean, I guess I can use some new skills. Smells. I don't care about no skills. Naofumi and his party then head off once again, and they're tasked by the trader to deliver a herbicide to a village, in which Naofumi has an odd feeling that he knows where they're going. And he learns that, well, this said village, when he arrives, all the people begin telling him that the spear hero Motoyasu tried to end their local famine, and he cuts them off using a cursed seed, huh? A plant that came alive, yeah? Yeah, these people are just idiots. Honestly, I want to go back home at this point. They're stupider than the other heroes at my home. And those dudes are dumb as hell. How could you be as dumb or dumber than them? God, there's like, oh, no killing rule. Oh, like what is that? No killing rule. Killing rule. Guys are ridiculous. And after that small conversation, and after the villagers stare at him as if he was literally mentally insane, which he kind of is, but that's beyond the point, they basically ask him to please solve their problem, and he says that he will, but they're gonna have to pay him. They say they have basically nothing, and he says he doesn't care, that he doesn't care how much they give him, but they're gonna give him something. So they head off toward this plant and basically try to use this herbicide. They strike down the smaller plants, instantly killing them. Naofumi teleporting toward the plant, stabbing it with his sword. Realizing that he kind of can't, use the herbicide, he drenches his sword, or both of his swords, with the herbicide, and so does he does the same with Raphtalia's. And they both slice into the plant as they inject the plant with the herbicide immediately and get it all the way down toward the roots, retracting their swords back as the plant begins to slowly but surely fade away. He's happy that this worked because, frankly, if it didn't, there's no way they would have killed it. He had no way of killing it, and there's no shot he would have been able to make a stronger herbicide. I mean, the only way that he made the whole medicine thing was kind of by accident. He was just hoping for the best. But even with that, they finish up, and Naofumi asks for his reward, in which they give him something, but it's not a lot, and Naofumi kind of rolls his eyes and says that they'll be going now. He leaves the village once again, saying his goodbyes, and they ask if he has any extra seeds, and he says that he has something, pulling out stuff from his pockets and throwing it at them, which are some leftover seeds that could be beneficial for them. He shrugs and then leaves with his party. They then head off to a nearby hot springs, or this springs village, to drop off some merchandise. They all relax, and Naofumi has a good time, just chilling, having a good time, relaxing, and he actually does finally take off his mask once in a while. The mask that he wears that looks very similar to, the one at home. He takes it off and he begins to bathe his face, in which he finally realizes, wait, my face, it's not ugly? And they're confused. We've seen your face before. I don't understand what you mean by ugly. No, you guys don't understand. Oh my god, my face. It's not ugly. They're actually baffled. Philo, Raptalia, Domino, they have no freaking clue what he's even talking about. And he begins to explain that back in his own world, he looked like he had craters in his face. It was horrible. Terrible. But he also had cancer, so I guess that's just as bad. But he begins to explain that he went through all these experiments, and that's why he got his regeneration powers, but it had a toll on his face, and it kind of ended up being really ugly. He begins to touch his face. Oh my god, I can't believe it. I look beautiful again. Domino then tells him to not to get too high on himself, and he looks at Domino. You don't understand. If you saw me before, god damn, I was ugly. Naofumi then slightly cries, wiping his tears as he walks to his room after basically just hanging out in the hot springs for a bit. After all of that is said and done, Naofumi actually gets a present when he wakes up. It seems they actually killed this giant hog, in which they just traded in for money, and Naofumi gives them the double thumbs up, saying they did a great job, and they just take off toward the next place they have to go, learning about this mysterious disease that is spreading through a village. A village that, well, let's just say is under a bit of intense trouble, and that trouble all revolves around the sword hero Ren. When they arrive, they hear about this dragon, a dragon that nearby was killed by the sword hero Ren, and he left the body there just to rot instead of properly disposing of it. And this would be a problem, creating this horrible disease, a toxic area all around their village. They have no idea what to do. They beg Naofumi, please help them. And Naofumi says why not, since they asked so nicely, and maybe he won't even charge them. As he walks away, they question why he said maybe, and he says no reason, as he walks up the giant cliff until they basically spot the huge dragon. The huge dragon is just sitting right there, and Naofumi pulls out his katanas ready to go chop it up. And as he goes to do such thing, Well, let's just say the dragon begins to revive, come back to life, and it is now a zombie dragon. The dragon begins to breathe fire in the sky, and Naofumi is shocked to see this, telling everybody to stay back and play at their strengths. Do not dive straight at its face. But as Naofumi says this, Philo is angered with the dragon, especially because she hates dragons with a passion, going to kick the dragon in the face, but gets swallowed whole. Naofumi is shocked to see this and is pissed, going after the dragon immediately, cutting off one of his legs, as Domino begins to unleash bullets into the dragon like crazy, stunning the dragon a good bit. Now, Naofumi continues his onslaught with Raphtalia, and they're basically in sync, slicing at crucial points of the dragon more and more as they begin to cut the dragon to size. They then send one of Naofumi's katanas right through his mouth, capturing its mouth completely shut and not letting it breathe fire anymore. Naofumi jumps on its head and points a gun straight to it and begins shooting like crazy at the skull of the dragon. Immediately though, he pulls out another gun, actually transferring to a new weapon, spraying an assault rifle into his head as well. Killing the dragon entirely as it lands on the ground, he chops off his head and begins to chomp up the dragon, trying to search its stomach for Philo, but Philo just basically explodes out of it, kicking through it, and begins to pant. "Don't worry guys, I'm okay." Naofumi is shocked to see this and is happy she's okay, but she then coughs up something and it's this small little shard. He grabs the shard and puts it into his gem on his katana, but the katana, it doesn't change too much, but he does gain a ton more of skills. It seems like the katana itself can actually morph into a more of a dragon-like katana, but more specifically a katana that has a heated blade. A heated blade that can rise in temperature depending on the emotion of the user or the circumstance. And he is kind of confused by this and says that he won't be using it very much anyways, so they begin to chop up the dragon and they basically get it into giant bags and throw it away for the people that are there. Now that it is all said and done, Naofumi tells all of them that he handled the entire dragon, but the only problem is he doesn't really have a cure for all of them. And they ask Naofumi, well, Raphtalia and Domino ask him, why can't they just use the same cure they used for them? And Naofumi says that he barely even knows how he made it, but he can definitely give it a shot, taking some supplies that they have in the cart, and he tries to make the cure. And he tells them that they all should stand right beside each other, throwing the canister on the ground really hard as it splashes over all of them, and they begin to feel a lot better. And slowly but surely, they're actually cured entirely. Naofumi begins to think that this was very convenient. Maybe he should make more of those. But the people around do begin to have a tingling sensation on their skin, but it's nothing too bad. It's just a small side effect. Luckily, because imagine if they start becoming a lot like the Naofumi that he was back in his world. Wow, how ugly would that be? So sad. Naofumi and his party then head off once again. Now that they're done with most of their missions that they had to deal with, they then head back toward the capital. During this travel though, they actually do come across another little girl. Her name is Melty, and Philo quickly befriends Melty as well, and they begin playing together, in which Naofumi doesn't really see a problem with this, that kids will be kids and maybe they should enjoy life a little bit. Telling Raphtalia to go play with them as well if she so chooses, but Raphtalia says that she's an adult, that she doesn't have to go play with little kids. And Domino kind of laughs about this and pats her on the head, telling her that she doesn't have to act like an adult all the time, that they can have fun too. Naofumi agrees and says he never acts like an adult and teleports to Philo and Melty, and they start playing with the Philolios as well. Raphtalia runs over with them and so does Domino, and they have just a nice night staying out there for now. After all of that is said and done though, Melty does ask to be escorted to the capital, and he says that that's truly no problem, and he does just that, bringing her back and asking for a reward. But then he says he's kidding, that the other night was fun and that they had basically a good time running around and enjoying life a little bit, not just worrying about other things in terms of surviving. And sometimes you gotta do that. Naofumi then continues basically into the capital and talks about getting their class upgrades. Frankly, they kinda need them. They've been level 40 for a good little bit now. and it seems like they are definitely growing in power. And the class upgrade may even help with the weaponry that they're using. He doesn't exactly know how it works in terms of his whole mercenary status, so it should actually be pretty beneficial. He actually does look more into this mercenary status, and he does find that there is this unknown setting in terms of when they get their class upgrades, their weapons do evolve with them. And it's kind of odd. He doesn't really understand it by any means, but he just thinks that it's a good idea for them to get those said class upgrades. As this conversation is happening though, Motoyasu comes out of nowhere and tries to take a jab at Naofumi, but Naofumi immediately pulls out a gun and shoots him in his chest, burying him in the ground and basically pressing his foot on the wound. Now, where did you think you were going? Come on, seriously. Like, did you really think that was gonna work? Just jump at me and scream, like this, what is this, some movie? Like, you're trying to sneak attack me, but you're screaming while you're trying to sneak attack me? Like, I'm a trained mercenary. Like, I'm not gonna hear you, man. Like, I don't understand your logic, man. Motoyasu is then laying there hurting, basically saying that to get his foot off of him, as Mine approaches, telling Naofumi to get his foot off of Motoyasu right now. And Naofumi shakes his head. No, I'm good. You guys are a lot of trouble, honestly. I don't understand your whole point here. I'm just trying to do the hero's work, and you guys keep messing with me. You guys even did that whole monster seed thing, or whatever it was called. Domino, what was it called? She then tells him that it was called a curse seed, and then Naofumi says, yeah, that thing. But, like, what are you guys even doing? Seriously. And basically Motoyasu says that he helped that place. He helped them a lot, but Naofumi disagrees. He definitely did not help them and says that that just wasn't the case by any means. And he had to actually cure more or less a giant monster plant. Now, what does he have to say about that? Motoyasu is confused. Giant monster? What are you talking about? He looks toward Mine, and Mine just denies everything. But Naofumi and Domino and also Rautalia explain that it was a cursed seed. A seed that should not have been grabbed by them. Something that was put away in a tomb for a reason that he brought out and did this. That his little girlfriend over there is causing a lot of trouble. And it seems like she's doing it on purpose. Naofumi says that he knows a bad person when he sees one, because frankly he was one, and kinda is one. But that's beyond the points. He's seen a lot of them. Like, you never know, man. You don't understand. I've seen a lot of them. A lot. Some act like heroes. Some are heroes. A lot are heroes. But still, even with that said, they don't really have the right mindsets. You gotta think about it, man. She's using you. Come on. Even my dead girlfriend would tell you that. Oh, that was probably a little too soon. But beyond the point, come on, man. Like, seriously. Do you want this girl to control your life, or do you want her to be a dead girlfriend? Should I even say that? Hey, Ryder, is that offensive? I mean, to be honest, probably. But I don't really care. I like your style, Ryder. Interesting. Well, with that even said, though, you gotta think about it, Mr. Motoyasu. Amaterasu? I'm gonna call you that. Amaterasu. Yeah, you gotta really think about these things, man. Like, come on, this girlfriend of yours? Not a good girl. The girl then comes over, or Mine comes over, and begins to shout at Naofumi, but immediately, Domino puts a bullet in her foot, and she collapses to the ground. You see, man? Not bulletproof. I don't know why that even is my logic, but still, not a good girl. We're talking about real girls. Have you seen animes? I know you've seen animes. There's some good girls out there. You think she is? She is a protagonist that you would hate. Or she'd be more like an antagonist, huh? A villain? The best character in an anime? I don't know. But she's that character that all the writers want you to hate. She is. You can tell. Just give it a thought, alright? Alright, Amaterasu or Montarasu or I don't know anymore. Naofumi then just walks away with his team, and Motoyasu is really confused. Really confused about everything that just went on. He couldn't tell if, well, Naofumi was serious. He also said his name extremely wrong about 15 different times, but he couldn't really tell if he was really being serious about Mine. Is she really a bad person? should he not trust her at all? And this would even be reinforced when he's walking away. Melty comes up before he can actually leave all the way to the Dragon Hourglass and begins to explain that she is a princess, and so is mine. And Naofumi knows this and actually knew that she was a princess. It was kind of obvious. She kind of looks like a princess too. No normal girl would even dress like that. But Naofumi says that he doesn't really have a problem with her. She's a good girl, so he doesn't really care. In which she apologizes for basically not telling him, but like he shrugs and says that it's really fine. He does talk about Mine though, asking about why she acts the way she acts, and she shakes her head, saying that Mine has been like that for a while, and that's why she's not the heir apparent to the throne. Naofumi then wipes his brow. Oh, thank God. Imagine her being a queen? Sheesh. Jesus Christ, that would be horrible. There is no God if that happens. I wonder if that actually does happen. I'll have to read the light novel later. Melty is really confused and asks what he's talking about, but shakes his head and tells her not to worry about it. They head to the Dragon Hourglass, but unfortunately, a meeting with the people there, they tell them that they cannot give them the said class upgrade that he wants. Naofumi pulls out a gun and points it at their head. Okay, you're gonna give me the class upgrade. I don't care anymore. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, you're just trying to sabotage your own well-being. I'm literally here to save you guys. Domino, pull your gun out too. Domino then wheels her gun out as well and points it at them too. Okay, now listen. You better listen closely. You're gonna give us the class upgrades one by one. Raftalia first, Philo, then Domino. And then I might not put a bullet in your head. How about it? Some people then, or more people even come out to try to support the two people that are running the Dragon Hourglass, but let's just say they have a nice nap. By nap, I mean an eternal rest. And they get bullets put in their skulls pretty quickly. And he says it again. Okay, you have 5 seconds. You got 5 seconds, dude. So they decide that they are actually gonna give them their class upgrades. Raftalia gets hers first, and she actually gets another katana. It seems like it's now connected to the other one, and she can actually make her said katana into either two or just recollect it back into one, and now she has the ability to fight a lot like Naofumi has taught her, especially with 2 katanas. Then Philo goes, and then also Domino goes, in which Domino gets another pistol as well, very similar to Raftalia. Now she can dual wield. Philo, on the other hand, gets a really large stat boost, and she actually gets her claws to be extremely more sharp, and she can actually poison people with her said claws. Very similar to this like toxic or acid type of strike she can use now. With all that done though, now they have a larger level cap. Naofumi and his party head off, saying goodbye to the people and leaving let's just say, a lot of bodies in their wake. But with the next wave coming very soon, don't really have a choice. He has to do what he has to do, and he even spreads the word of these people doing what they're doing, basically trying to prevent him from actually using their class upgrades, and he had to do what he had to do. And Melty learns of this, and she kind of does defend him in that regard, and it's not like they can do anything about it anyways. Naofumi's too strong for them, and frankly, if they try to say, oh, well, you can't do that, Naofumi would, kind of off him. But, that's beyond the point of offing him. There's no reason to be scared of Naofumi, right? Right? Yeah, wrong. But, they have to do what they have to do. And when the wave is approaching them, he decides to scout out more and more villages, finding actually another revolution. A revolution that changed into a bunch of refugees. It seems like Itsuki, who made this revolution happen, actually didn't properly do it. So now there are just a bunch of people that are homeless, have no food, and are suffering. And Naofumi tries his best to help them, and Domino, Raftalia, and Philo are actually happy to see this. Normally, you don't really see Naofumi doing something out of his way, especially if he's not going to get a reward. And he ends up getting a reward anyways from the people that were basically assigned to do such a thing, and he got the reward that Itsuki would have gotten in the first place. But even so, he didn't know he was going to get a reward, and Domino, Raftalia, and Philo are pretty proud of him, Our friendly hood Deadpool, he's really warming up to the people of the Shield Hero universe. That isn't the Shield Hero universe. That is now the Deadpool universe. But that's neither here nor there. With all that said and done though, he heads back to the capital to actually speak with Ren and Itsuki, and they have a quick conversation basically about everything that has occurred, but more specifically about the money that he took from them, quote unquote, in which he explains to them that they kind of just didn't do their job. He explains about the dragon and how he just left the dragon there to rot, and he had to clean it up and then kill it again, even though he doesn't really know how he kills a zombie, but whatever. And then with Itsuki, he started a revolution, but then put another corrupt government in. How does that even make sense? How do you even manage that? Itsuki is shocked to hear this as well and accuses him of lying, but Naofumi shrugs, saying it don't matter if he thinks that he's lying or not, he doesn't really care, and that he has things to do anyways. So they head off and basically equip themselves for the catastrophe that is about to return. So Raphtalia, Philo, and Domino wait for this catastrophe at Loot Village, and they begin to fend off monster after monster really easily. Actually, it's extremely easy, like stupid easy. So they're just defending for over 3 hours and they still have not finished. So Naofumi decides to take his party, teleporting over and actually arriving at a Dutchman ship. Seeing that, well, the heroes are arguing. How are you guys arguing right now? You guys are trying to beat a boss and you're arguing about it? Do you guys really think this is some video game? Oh my god. You guys think this is a video game? Wow, you know what? That explains a lot. Raphtalia, please go hit that thing right there. The shadow. Raphtalia stabs into it, revealing the Soul Eater. Naofumi goes to slice it, but Domino blasts it before he can get to it, and she shrugs as he looks at her. Okay. Nice job, Domino. They continue actually basically making sure the Soul Eater is dead, and then he stops and walks away. See guys, easy as that. But seriously, a video game? How do you guys think it's a video game? I honestly don't understand it. Have you not gotten close to death? I mean, I haven't either, but have you not? I mean, Motoyasu, I put a bullet in your chest. You were pretty close. Oh, did I? No. Did I put a bullet in you? Or did I pull a bullet in your girlfriend? I know I definitely put a bullet in your girlfriend. I should put a bullet in you. Oh no, I did put a bullet in you. I kind of need to do another one, huh? Now, Fumi is literally ranting as another Soul Eater appears, but it's immediately sliced in half by Raphtalia and her 2 blades. And they're all shocked to see how strong him and his party have gotten over this time. And just as they're questioning him about why they're so strong, or why he's so strong and his party is so strong, a woman questions him as well. And as she begins to float to the ground. Oh my god. Is that Death? Are you Death? No, what's Death? No, I'm Glass. Oh, Glass? So you were Sand. You're the Sandman. Again, I'm Glass. You're no fun. You just don't understand anything. You're not from my world. You get none of the references. Nobody does. I'm taking it out on you. Now Fumi begins to attack Glass, and it's visibly obvious that Glass is actually panicking now. She didn't realize how strong Naofumi truly was, and she really doesn't even know what to do. She's put on the back foot, his unorthodox style of fighting, but on top of that, he's a master martial artist. It's practically impossible to beat this guy, and he's not even that much stronger technically than Glass, at least in terms of levels, and he kind of just asks her what was her plan here anyways. She doesn't even seem like she was prepared, and she says that she wasn't, not for someone like him. Backing up entirely, she begins to basically blast all of these sharp and needle-like blasts at him, this yellow-like energy sending a ton at him. He begins to slice through it as if he's breaking all of it, until he realizes that he actually hit none of them, and there's just a bunch of holes in his body. He falls to the ground, and she begins to basically talk about how it was harder than she thought, but he got her. What? How are you alive? Now Fumi begins to stand up. You just made me into some Swiss cheese. That's not very nice. By the way, regeneration. Pretty simple actually. That's how I'm alive. He begins to regenerate all the holes, and Glass realizes how outclassed she currently is. This woman with a black kimono wielding these 2 twin-bladed war fans even with this substantial amount of power she feels like she's holding, she's not even close. She can't beat them. If the other heroes are that strong too, then... But as Glass is contemplating this, it's as if Naofumi reads her mind. Yeah, trust me, the other heroes are not this strong. I'm way stronger than them. They suck. Honestly, if I wasn't even here, they'd be dead right now. And honestly, I probably wouldn't even be mad. I should have came an hour later. Raftalia, I should have came an hour later. He looks back at his party as Glass is just so confused. This guy, he's like commentating his own life. What is he doing? Well, Miss Glass, it was fun. I mean, I'm sure you'll be leaving now. I don't really feel like killing you because you're honestly the strongest thing and person I've fought in a long time, and everything else is kind of boring. I mean, I enjoy our spars with like my teammates, but we're trying to kill each other. It's better when, you're trying to kill me. You even made me Swiss cheese. I mean, at least my body Swiss cheese. But that's beyond the point. I'll be seeing you later. Naofumi begins to walk away as Raftalia and Domino and also Philo are really confused. The other three heroes yell at him, telling him to basically finish the job. But Glass begins to put her guard up as if he's going to listen, but he just puts a bullet in all three of their legs, telling them to shut up. Glass is so confused, but actually finds this kind of funny. It's very contagious in a way as she disappears within the wave. Okay, you guys might want to get that checked out. Don't worry, I miss all vital organs and stuff. I just hit your leg, you'll be fine. Just walk in with a limp for 2 days, that's about it. Naofumi and his party immediately leave, but just as soon as they leave, they are called to the kingdom. They're called to the kingdom because the king has a shit ton of questions. So many questions to the point that he wants to know everything that Naofumi is basically doing. And Naofumi explains it all. Explains his whole journey in a miraculous way. In which, that's the whole story I've been telling this whole time, but that's beyond the point. He tells the story to the king about everything he's done, about everything that's gone on, and the king just wants to know how he got so strong, and Naofumi says that he's always been this strong, that he's a mercenary in his other world, so it kind of works out. But the king begins to say that he's obviously hiding something. Don't hide anything from me, or else. Or else what? I don't even think I can die anymore. Or else I'll punish the people in your part. As Naofumi hears this, let's just say he might have slipped. His finger may have slipped, and it might have clicked a trigger, and it might have went through the king's head. Unfortunately, he missed the leg by about 2 meters. But even with that said, Naofumi realizes that this was probably for the best anyways. But what would happen? What's gonna happen with Naofumi and his party from now on? The king's dead? Will they be completely exiled? Will there be a warranted reason why Naofumi did it? Which there kind of was. What will happen with the kingdom? The other three heroes? Glass seemingly was a lot stronger than them and probably could stomp them out, and Naofumi even realized that as well. So what's gonna happen if more of those people show up? If Glass shows up once again? And many others at that same level? What will happen to the other heroes? Will they die, and will Naofumi be left alone with his party to fend off the waves? Or will he decide to save them? Will he take it upon himself to make sure that this world is safe? Well, you'll have to find out next time on What If Naofumi was the legendary mercenary hero. And yeah, this is part 1 of 2. So if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, sub, comment down below any suggestions you have. I was debating with the title. I was debating if I should do What If Naofumi was the legendary merc with the mouth hero, but I couldn't really find a good name. So I just thought mercenary. I mean, he's a mercenary. So I feel like that was a good name for it. I hope y'all enjoyed, like I said, and I hope all of y'all have an amazing day. Later. I don't wanna waste what's left.